Okay, if you've been following along, which I imagine you have, we've made the claw that goes on the bottom, and we've made the actual main lower leg. So what we're going to move on to now is creating the upper leg, so that we can start actually putting things together. So I'm going to drop back down into the left viewport again, and zoom in a bit. I'll press F4 so I can see slightly better and drop my grid on. Okay, now the upper leg's quite a big piece, and I'm going to make it by starting off using this piece here. So I'm going to hide my unselected, zoom in on this piece here, and what I want to do is go at the back. Oops, hang on, I shouldn't be moving it, I just want to move the actual scene. Now if you remember how I started off with the claw, I'm going to do the same more or less here. Just use my select tools, check ignore back facing. I'm going to turn my grid off, it's getting in the way. Let's just press G, by the way, to give it a grid. Okay, now I'm going to hit grow. Where's my grow key gone? There we are. And with that done, I can now detach. And it's going to call upper leg. I'm going to give these a more standardized name once I've finished creating these base objects that are creating the leg. So I can hide this, and that gives me this piece now to work with. Okay, now looking at my rough sketches and my plans, which I'm adapting rather viciously as I go along, I want to create a piece that's going to come off this. So what I'm going to do is, if you remember last time I made a spline, I think this time it's probably going to be easier again if I create another spline. So if I pull back, I'm going to build the spline around this. So start with a line. I can use my snap settings if I like. I think I'm going to. So just roughly I'm going to go around the outside of this. There we are. Just giving myself some shapes. Make my way to the end where I'm going to have a giant ball joint. Then down here, bring it back in. There we go. And I'm going to want to close my spline, and that's going to leave me with this shape here. I'll turn the line off. Okay, now obviously I'm going to want to extrude this out again. Now remember the problems I said last time with extrude. You're going to have a job applying a NURMS to it unless you build lots and lots of little polygons for it. So modify, extrude, just pressing E to tap down in the line. Now if you look, it's picked up the amount we did last time, but I want to increase this to about 50. And I think, yep, I'm going to put an extra segment down in the middle there. Right click, convert to editable polygon. Now I want to go into my top viewport, see if that's in the right place, and it is. Okay, so now I can start working on this piece here to add in some detail. It's not actually a massively detailed piece, fortunately, so there isn't really that much work needs to be done on it. So first things first, let's inset it, and then do an extrude. Now in here I'm going to be able to draw all sorts of little gubbins, as one of my colleagues calls them, and up here I'm going to want to do a couple of pistons, I think. Now if you think about it, it's a solid body here to here, so a piston isn't actually going to do anything. However, this is science fiction 3D, so there's no better reason to do gubbins than because you want to. So we're going to start off by making a cylinder. And a little bit of freehand here really, just want to try and get it the right size. There we go. Now snap's affecting it, so I'll turn S off. There we go, and that'll give us our shape we're going to work off. Make sure we've got one cap segment and one height segment. I'm going to right click, convert to editable polygon, Now I'm going to select the top polygon here and just bring it down. Okay, now zoom extends by selected object. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to inset it like this, and I want to extrude it back a little bit. Insert a very tiny amount indeed. Now we're going to extrude it down again, all the way down like that, so that it intersects at the bottom, where I'm going to build a panel that's going to come up for it. Okay, and with that one done, I'm going to make 2 more copies. One goes there, and then the next one's going to go next to it, just there. Click OK. Now then, down here, to give it something to connect to, I want to go back to these pieces, and I'm going to use the hinge from edge. Excellent useful tool. Pick my hinge. I'm going to pick this one. Now then, you've got to make sure you pick the right hinge. You may need to do it a couple of times before you get the right one. So sometimes it helps if you zoom in a bit. I've had all sorts of problems before getting the right hinge. There we go. Now this bit you're going to have to kind of play by ear really. There we go. And just click OK. I'm going to do the same again with this one. The reason we're not doing them all together is because I want to separate them a little bit once they're done. Now this one here. Okay, and we're done. Now these 3 here, I'm going to bevel. And if you look now, they're all beveling independently, which is cool. So I'm going to bring them down like this. Click apply, now bring the height up. There we go. Click OK. And I'm going to select these lines here. Pull back a bit so I can see my controller handle. Just bring those right the way in and a little bit up. Now these polygons are still selected, which is useful, so I'm going to extrude them down a little bit. And I'm just going to hit mesh smooth. That makes a nice round shape. Now I can hit the grow button once, extrude it back up, and then we've got some nice connections at the end. Now all I need to do is just attach. Click, click, click. And our pistons are attached to the main body. Now then, I'm going to inset this piece as well. Just extrude that back. There we are. And now we're getting some shapes that we can work with. Okay, now down here, what I'm going to want to do is pull back a little bit. I want to create some parts that are going to attach to it. So I'm going to make a cylinder. Just use the auto grid and start just adding little bits to it. All we're doing here is just adding parts that are going to be serving no real purpose, just as detail objects. It's up to you how many little detail objects you want to add into it. In the industry they call this greebling. So there we go. We've got a couple of detail objects connected into that part. Let's pull another cylinder out just about here. I'm sure if you've got some free time you can invent all sorts of things, all sorts of reasons for these things' existence, you know. There we go. So now we've got these parts here. And all I have to do if I want to connect these in is just click the attach button. There we go. And now we've got some objects added in as details. Now then, connecting it down here. I'm not gonna connect it like I did last time, simply because it's going to cause more problems for us in the long run if I do it that way. What I want to do instead is just select these pieces. I'm going to click grow once, inset it, and then I'm going to just extrude this piece downwards until it intersects with that. Like so. Now that it's actually inside there, I'm going to flip over. I can delete these end ones because they're no use to me. Now if I select this sphere, click attach, I can attach that part to it. And now we're starting to finally get some great big decent looking objects here. I've got some nice plain surfaces here that I'm going to add horns and blades and things to perhaps later when we get towards finishing the model up, just to add detail. And at the top, one of the final things we need to add, which I'm going to do in my left viewport, is a sphere. And the sphere's there is a ball joint to connect this to the main body. Now it's important to remember the dimensions of your sphere. Write it down if you have to. So what I'm going to do is create a nice big balls joint just here. Make it 50 again. So I'll go over here into my radius. Make it 50. I'm going to make the segments 18. Make it slightly smoother. And just get it in the right position. There we go. Now all I need to do is, oops, hang on. Take that back to my left viewport again. I'll just hit L for that, by the way. Go to my perspective. And I'm going to move this across here. Then I'm going to select this and zoom extends by this object. And I want to just select these top three here. And I'm going to inset them. Then I'm going to extrude them. Now if I go into my top viewport, I'm going to start moving this right the way across so that it intersects in the middle. Turn my grid off for the moment. There we are. What I've done is align this arrow to this central line here. That way I'll know it's in the middle. Now if I scoot round, I can just check that that is indeed intersecting the way I want it to. And it is. Okay, so we have our ball joint in place now. So again, just going to attach that on. Do a quick render. That's just a draft render from Max 6, by the way, it's a preset. Okay, now if I want to see some more detail, I'm going to hit F10, bring up my renderer here. This is the rendering dialog for 3D Studio Max 6, by the way. And I'm going to use a preset. So if I load my presets, and here we are, hidden line contours. Just click load. If I render that out, I'll be able to see the lines of my model better. There we are. Gives you a nice idea of how the detail is going to work out. So yeah, that looks pretty damn nice. Okay, so I'm going to drop that back down now to scan line. There we are. And I'll be able to render that out again. Okay, so now it's time to unhide things. So let's unhide all. If we look now, we've got this nice, big, long, complicated leg thing. So it's time to start doing a little bit of linking now, just to get this into the right position. So zoom in a bit. And if you look, we've got 1, 2, 3 pieces. So upper leg, lower leg, and foot, basically, when it comes down to it. And that's our few pieces. I'm also going to make a dummy object down here, so that we can move the foot easier. Okay, so let's move these into the right position first, though. So I'm going to do link. I'm going to link this one to here. this one to here. Now I need to change the pivot point on the top, because at the minute the pivot's down here, which is no use to me. I want the pivot to be completely central to this sphere here, so I'm going to affect my pivot only. I'm going to move it up here, and I can zoom in. If I zoom right the way in, because of course max allows you to zoom in as much as you damn well want, and I'm going to just get this right the way down here in the very middle. There we go. So now when I rotate this piece, everything else is going to rotate too. Okay, and what I want to do is start getting this into a pose for how the leg's actually supposed to be acting. There we go. Now if you look, there's some missing polygons down here. Well, you can't look because they're missing, but you get the general idea. So it might be in our best interest to create those missing polygons, just so that we don't have the problems that we're going to have in the future. So if we go into Vertex Select, you can already see that there's some in place. So if we just select this rim of polys here, sorry, vertexes here, we just drag these across. Return this. It can be quite hard to find the right ones. There we go. Just drag those across until they more or less intersect. Now then, this one here is a bit of a loose cannon we can get rid of. So I'm just going to target weld it. There we go. Okay, so now it's not going to look so messy when we do the turning on that one. Now let's have a look on the ankle. And as you see, there's a great big hole in the ankle too. So I'm going to zoom extends down here. What I'm going to do is hide unselected, and in this case I'm going to actually select the lines, I think, just to make things a bit easier on us. Actually no, it'll be easy selecting vertexes. And just pull these out. Go around the other side. And all we're doing really is just dragging these polygons back. So that we don't end up with gaps. Okay, unhide all. Okay, so now we have our object actually starting to go in place. There's our top object up here. Oops, I appear to have created a motor. I'll just get rid of that. There we are. There's our top object, the upper leg. There's this one, Lego 1 lower. And there's this one, Chloro 1. So, let's start giving them standard names now. Leg 1 lower. Leg 1 foot. And leg 1 upper. And that's our 3 parts for this. Pardon me. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go to our top viewport, just click T, zoom extends all, and I'm going to make a circle down here, just as a reference point. Actually no, that's part of the rigging, sorry, I'll come back to that at a later date. Okay, so we've created our top leg now, and I think we can all be pretty pleased with what we've done. If you followed along so far and built this, then congratulations to you. We're all mighty impressed. So in the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to start building the body that these are going to attach to, and then from there we're going to start building a load more legs just by using these and adding different details to each. And then with the body done, we'll go onto the tail, and well, you get the point. Just watch and learn, and I'll see you in the next part. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.